The Palace of Versailles, located about 20 kilometers southwest of Paris, France, is one of the most magnificent royal residences in the world and a symbol of the absolute power and artistic grandeur of the French monarchy. Originally built as a modest hunting lodge for King Louis XIII in the early 17th century, it was transformed by his son, King Louis XIV, into a vast palace that became the political and cultural center of France. Today, Versailles is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the most visited monuments in Europe, attracting millions of tourists every year. The construction of the Palace of Versailles began in 1661, shortly after Louis XIV assumed personal control of the French government. Determined to create a residence that would surpass all others in Europe, the king commissioned architect Louis Lavaux, landscape designer André Lenotre, and painter Charles Lebrun to transform the former hunting lodge into an extraordinary palace. Thousands of workers, artisans, sculptors, and engineers participated in the project. Construction continued for several decades, and the palace expanded gradually into a complex containing more than 2,300 rooms, magnificent gardens, fountains, chapels, and royal apartments. Enormous quantities of marble, stone, wood, and precious materials were used throughout the palace. Gold leaf-decorated ceilings, furniture, sculptures, and countless ornaments, creating a luxurious atmosphere intended to display the wealth and power of the French crown. The palace became a masterpiece of Baroque architecture and a model for royal residences throughout Europe. One of the most famous parts of Versailles is the Hall of Mirrors, known in French as the Galerie des Glaces. Completed in 1684, this spectacular gallery measures approximately 73 meters in length and contains 17 enormous, arched mirrors facing 17 windows that overlook the royal gardens. More than 350 mirrors reflect sunlight and candlelight, producing a dazzling effect. At the time, mirrors were extremely expensive and considered symbols of prestige and technological achievement. The Hall of Mirrors hosted royal ceremonies, receptions, and historical events, including the signing of the Treaty of Versailles in 1919, which officially ended World War I. Crystal chandeliers, gilded decorations, marble columns, and magnificent ceiling paintings make the hall one of the most beautiful interiors in the world. Versailles is also famous for its gardens, designed by André Lenotre. Covering nearly 800 hectares, they contain hundreds of statues, fountains, lakes, and carefully arranged pathways. The fountains required a highly sophisticated hydraulic system, one of the greatest engineering achievements of the 17th century. The gardens were intended to symbolize the king's control over nature and reflect the harmony and order associated with his reign. Numerous legends and mysteries surround the Palace of Versailles. One of the most famous stories is the so-called Versailles time slip. In 1901, two English women, Charlotte and Mobley and Eleanor Jourdain, claimed that while walking through the gardens they suddenly found themselves transported into the 18th century and saw people dressed in ancient clothing, including what they believed to be Queen Marie Antoinette. Their account later became one of the most famous paranormal stories associated with the palace. Another mystery involves hidden passages and secret doors used by members of the royal family and servants. Historians have confirmed that certain concealed corridors existed, allowing the king and his attendants to move privately between rooms. Stories also persist about undiscovered chambers and lost treasures hidden somewhere within the enormous complex. Although many of these legends remain unproven, they contribute to Versailles' enduring aura of mystery. The palace played a central role in French history. It served as the residence of Louis XIV, Louis XV, and Louis XVI, and remained the center of royal power until the French Revolution in 1789. During the Revolution, the royal family was forced to leave Versailles, and many furnishings were dispersed. Nevertheless, much of the palace survived and was later restored, becoming one of France's greatest national treasures. Today, visitors can explore the Hall of Mirrors, the King's and Queen's apartments, the Royal Chapel, the Grand Trianon, the Petit Trianon, and the extensive gardens. Throughout the year, Musical fountain shows and special exhibitions bring the palace to life and offer visitors a glimpse into the splendor of the French court. For tourists, the cost of spending one day visiting Versailles depends on travel style. Budget travelers generally spend between $80 and $130 per day, including transportation from Paris, entrance tickets, meals, and modest accommodation. Mid-range travelers typically spend between $150 and $300 per day, enjoying guided tours, comfortable hotels, and quality restaurants. Luxury travelers may spend $400 to $1,000 or more per day, especially if choosing premium accommodations and private guides. Entrance tickets to the palace and gardens generally cost between $25 and $40, while meals at local restaurants range from $20 to $50 per person. Today, the Palace of Versailles stands as one of the greatest achievements of European architecture and a symbol of the grandeur of the French monarchy. Its breathtaking hall of mirrors, magnificent gardens, hidden passages, and fascinating legends continue to captivate millions of visitors. More than 3 centuries after its creation, Versailles remains one of the most extraordinary palaces ever built, and a lasting monument to the artistic brilliance and ambition of King Louis XIV and the French royal court. Subscribe to the channel and like the video.